Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.
Hello, you're watching The Local Live. I'm Don Julian.
And I'm Jackie Grosha. It's not quite sandal weather yet, but I am sure I'm ready to shake off the winter chill for good.
Just a little longer, Jackie. We've got a great show this week. Here is a sneak peek of what we have for you tonight. Find out why parents were in a marathon meeting with the Mamaroneck School Board.
The village of Mamaroneck might be the first community in Westchester to ban bamboo.
Molly Spillanes invites me behind the scenes.
The Local Live was front and center at the Sound Shore St. Patrick's Day Parade.
And last but not least, we have our first kitty cat pet of the week. A detailed overview of the Mamaroneck School budget for the coming school year took place last Saturday, the 22nd. It was a 6-hour-long meeting with parents and children expressing their opposition to the board's proposal to eliminate co-op camp.
Some of them are my personal children and some of them are your kids. And there is no other program that's out there for them. And you talk about the educational regression that you want to prevent in the short time of co-op camp. And when you weigh the value of the educational growth that they get, the social, emotional success that these children have at the end of participating in this program, I would urge you to think that in the $231,000 that it would cost to reinstate, the amount of money that you're investing in each of those 386 kids is under $600 per child. And so when you look to weigh what you're going to get and the value that you're going to place on our children, I would encourage you to look more critically at some of the other things that you can do to reserve this plush fund balance and maybe implement that towards maintaining this program that's vital to all of our children's success that you're hearing from, and the kids that are sitting in the audience, and the children who don't have the voice to articulate what needs to be said.
We do have some children sitting in the audience. We're always happy when anyone, but particularly children, come to our board meeting. Also, because you have your backs to the I'm just gonna read your signs, and if anyone would like to come down, one of the signs says, "We need summer education. Please don't do this." Another one said, "Please, we need our co-op camp. Our children need it." And it's all about, lift that last one up a little higher. Lift that one up. It's all about the fun. Don't cut co-op camp, please. So I just, if anyone would like to come down, but I think they've kind of made their statement there.
Remember, if you want to watch the whole meeting, you can go to LMC TV's webpage, www.lmctv.org, and watch on demand.
The discussion over banning bamboo in the village of Mamaroneck continues. The proposed law intends to control the rapid spreading of bamboo along public roads.
People use bamboo as a screen on their property lines. That's no longer legal.
How the determination is going to be made on which property the bamboo started on and who in the village is going to be able to make that determination.
I would be so grateful if this board would extend the same amount of time and energy researching deer and flooding and dirty water. I think it would be time much better spent, and the energy of the community and the response of the community would be much more positive than all of us worrying about. Now it sounds like a very unfriendly situation that's being created between neighbors.
It is still up to the HCZM, the Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission, to decide if this law is inconsistent. The law could be adopted 30 days after filing the Coastal Assessment Form with the HCZM, done on March 11th this year. Additionally, according to a signed opinion letter from Attorney William Sharp from the New York State Department of State, it is unconstitutional for the HCZM to determine a proposed law inconsistent or to fail inconsistent because it is a de facto veto over the power of the Board of Trustees to pass laws. We are going to keep following this story and provide updates as we get them.
And now for In the Media with Mike Witch. He's got the goods on the hottest Westchester stories.
Lynette Say contributed a story to The Loop about the Sound Shore Medical Center being taken over by the Montefiore Health System. It was the topic of the local Sammit's monthly meeting at the Nautilus Diner on March 18th. The meeting was packed, she reports. To find out what questions were asked and what Montefiore officials said, and to find out the current status of the hospital, visit loopny.com. Jim Dorian wrote to the Journal News chiding Mamaroneck for the ban proposed on bamboo. Not only is spreading easily controlled with a sharp spade, says the Croton-on-Hudson resident, but bamboo helps to clean the air and can be harvested to make hundreds of items. In the March 21st edition of the Mamaroneck Review, there's more on the controversy surrounding the local waterfront revitalization plan. Vocal critics say the review and the rewriting process was flawed, but Mayor Rosenblum disagrees. Next up, the village trustees will hold a work session on March 31st. It's open to the public, but no comments will be heard. The updated plan will then be reviewed by the Department of State, after which there will be public meetings open to comment. It's a complicated issue. The Mamaroneck Review, I think, did a good job explaining it. And from The Loop, news of a spin-a-thon to raise money for diabetes research. It was held at Larchmont's L-Train, an indoor cycling studio, and it was hosted by them and organized by Michael Mancino, a senior at Mamaroneck High School. Michael started an organization called MHS Kids for the Cure 2 years ago, and he recruited 75 students and parents this time. They raised over $3,500. To date, Michael has raised $25,000 and hopes to reach his goal of $100,000 by the end of the year. From the Larchmont Mamaroneck patch, Larchmont Library is announcing the opening of the first annual student art exhibit featuring artwork by students in the drawing and painting program at Mamaroneck High School. The exhibit in the library's Orrisman Gallery opens on Wednesday, April the 2nd and runs through the end of the month. Additionally, there will be a reception to honor the students whose work is on exhibit. That will be Thursday, April 10th at 6:30. Also in the patch, notice of a Brick Fest at the library. It will happen over 2 weekends, March 29th and 30th and April 5th and 6th. Come and explore a world created out of Lego bricks. Timed entry tickets are now on sale from the Friends of the Larchmont Library. For more information, visit larchmontbrickfest.org. The folks at Movado Real Estate decided to take a look at the hardest working places in New York. As reported in the patch and as well in the Loop, Mamaroneck Village came in 5th. And finally, where can girls have a nice night out? Well, the Journal News wrote a story recommending Bar Lee's in Mamaroneck as one of the places. It's upscale and relatively quiet. Bar Lee's is on the corner of Mamaroneck Avenue and Prospect Street. They also serve dinners and they schedule music and comedy entertainment. And that, folks, is some of the local news that I read this week in the media.
Dude, there is a bunch of zombies outside.
What?
There are zombies in the front lawn. It's Z-Day.
Well, what do we do?
Let's check out the news.
I'm here on Halstead Avenue, where the Mamaroneck Police Force has already begun to crack down on the zombie menace. Get out of my shot! Residents are advised to stay inside, lock their doors, and wait it out. Back to you in the studio.
Looks like we're gonna be okay.
Hello, Larchmont and Mamaroneck. I'm Mike Witch, and I'm here with
Rebecca Berman. Welcome to the 15th edition of The Local Live.
Maura Carlin is out, so I'll be asking the questions tonight. And our guest is Mamaroneck Larchmont Daily Voice correspondent Suzanne Sammint. We'll be talking about how a local reporter like her covers local news and maybe talk about some of the current issues that Suzanne is looking at.
If you're watching us live, you can call us with a question or comment. Our telephone number is 914-381-0150. You can also send email to thelocallive@lmc-tv.org, and you can tweet us at thelocallive, #AskYourReporter.
Well, Suzanne, thank you so much for coming back. You were here once before.
Thank you for having me.
Is correspondent the right name for you?
Well, technically we call ourselves reporters, but I think it's just a stylistic thing.
Maybe a correspondent gets a little more money.
Maybe.
What's
that could be true.
What's the most common question that people ask you as a local reporter?
I think the most common question people ask is probably, isn't journalism a dying field, or what do you really do? And some people ask me how much I make, which, is always a special question to answer. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Well, go ahead and answer that question. Is journalism a dying field?
I don't think it's dying as much as it's rapidly changing. I think the journalism that people are used to, kind of, the Woodward and Bernstein, writing for a gray and black newspaper, that may be phasing out, unfortunately, over time. And I think a lot of demand has been placed on more like citizen journalism, people going really out into the field and immersing themselves in whatever situation they're covering. And that's a big part of what I do, just because I am a local reporter. And so I'm very entrenched in my communities, and I'm indirectly a part of whatever event I'm covering, whatever conversation I'm covering, and people seem to really like that.
Now, The Voice is not a newspaper.
No, it's not. Right now, we are an online-only publication. We are planning to roll out weekly papers eventually. The date's been changed back and forth a couple times, so I'm not entirely sure when it's going to happen. But yeah, right now we basically have sites for Westchester and Fairfield County, covering different sites for every major city, town, and village for the most part.
So why, if they started out as an electronic newspaper, why would they go to, are they changing to print, or are they incorporating print?
We're going to be incorporating print, and that's a twofold reason. Number one, we are hoping to be able to run legal ads, and that's something that you can only do in a print paper, and we have to have a print paper in existence for, I believe, a year before we can start running legal ads, and that'll be a way for us to generate revenue, which right now in our industry is pretty difficult. And the second reason is that studies show that people will only read 350 words online. They really usually won't read past that. And that's if they get past the first two paragraphs. I mean, that's really, that first 10 seconds is really where people make a decision if they're going to read something or not. But we have a lot of great reporters who are very strong in long form, and we want to incorporate their work in what we do. So we're hoping that if we come out with a physical paper, we'll be able to, run 500-word pieces and maybe even a little bit longer.
You're a self-described young gun. And one of the things I found on you online, and I think you told me that you were, well, tell us why. Why did you describe yourself as a young gun journalist?
I describe myself as a young gun journalist because I originally became employed with the Daily Voice when I was 21, right out of college. I was very lucky, and I felt that I was particularly young and ambitious. I mean, of course, you have to be ambitious to be a reporter for the most part, but I took a sense of pride in that accomplishment of being able to say that I worked for a news organization, pretty much right out of college, and I have a lot of optimism for the future of journalism, and specifically, hopefully, the role I hope to play in it. Very passionate about what I do. I'm very passionate about watchdog journalism, and also, feature stuff, talking and getting to highlight the extraordinary and the ordinary. So I'm someone who, can talk forever about what I do, and someone who's very excited, and that's...
Well, we don't have quite forever, but as Rebecca said, we do have the opportunity to answer viewer calls or tweets or emails, so viewers can certainly call us, and we'll interrupt our conversation here in the studio and go to those questions that people ask. I wanted to ask you about the beat that you have. You have certain areas that you're responsible for covering?
That's correct. Right now, presently, I cover Mamaroneck and Larchmont, and that includes all towns and villages. I also cover White Plains, Yonkers, and Pelham.
All of those?
All of those.
So how do you divide your time? What's a day like for you?
Well, a day for me, it really depends. I think that of course, the bigger cities take more time, and they definitely get a significant portion of my day and my week and my month. It's with Yonkers, every place is different. Every place has different demands. With Yonkers, unfortunately, there's a rather high police demand. There's a lot of, stuff going on. I'm in touch with the police all the time there, and I'm covering that. In places like Mamaroneck and Larchmont, a lot of it has to do with, different events going on in town, the town council meetings, that kind of deal. So I would say, a typical day for me, we're required to write 2 stories a day. That's the minimum. And, so I usually try to balance it out pretty well. If I do one for Yonkers, I'll try to do one for Pelham or for Larchmont, one of the smaller communities that I have, and overall try to, really balance it.
Are all of your stories 350 words or less?
Yes, for the most part.
Do they all have to be accompanied by a photograph?
Yes.
And are you responsible for the photography as well as the print?
Yes, for the most part.
So you're trained in both writing and image capturing, let's say.
Yes. I have, professional photography equipment, and I was, an amateur for a long time on my own. So I just happened to have that experience. But we all take our own photos and a lot of times our own video as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the technology that you have to use. Do you go around town with a laptop?
Yeah, sometimes I go around town with a laptop. The iPhone is a miracle. I mean, that's my tape recorder. It's oftentimes my camera if I'm walking into a situation where having a big clunky SLR isn't appropriate, like if, a close interview or that kind of deal. And I also take a lot of video on my iPhone as well. So that's predominantly the equipment I use. As I said, I have an SLR that also does video. So for speeches and things like that, where I have some more time to really, focus in and pan and all that jazz, I use that. And I also have a little microphone that I attach to my iPhone. I got it off this website called photojojo.com. It's a really awesome website, and it's very focused around, additions to the iPhone. And so that really helps me with what I do.
And do you then, you take a photo in the field, do you send it electronically or do you have to bring it into the office somewhere? Do you have an office?
We do. We do have an office. We have an office in Armonk, but we're never there. Most of the reporters, we're in our towns all the time, and if not, we're writing at home or in a coffee shop. We meet at our office once a week for editorial meetings, and our office, we have 2 offices, one in Armonk, New York, and one in Norwalk, and that's where our marketing teams are, and the editors will sometimes meet there as well. And in terms of your question about the photographs, I usually just email them to myself if I'm covering something breaking where they can't wait for me to get back home. I just email it to whichever editor I'm working with, and they'll put it up from there.
And what about the story itself? Do you email that as well?
I've called in a couple stories. We have some people who, pretty much predominantly work on the computer all day, just fixing our content, writing up, shorter stories, and we usually call one of them if we're phoning something in. Otherwise, I can email information, and if it's really not that pressing, I will just wait until I get back to somewhere I have Wi-Fi.
Sometimes I hear people talking about monitoring like the police radio to listen to what's going on. Is that something that you do, or like where do you get your stories from?
My stories, well, in terms of like police and fire type things, we subscribe to a breaking news service. It's called BNN. The editors are subscribed to that. I believe you have to pay money to actually get those alerts. And so if they get an alert that they think is important, that we should really follow up on, they will forward it to us. And then it's our job to go out and get our own information. As for stories that aren't breaking news, it really depends. Sometimes I get it from people who email me and say, hey, this is a thing that's going on that you should really know about. Sometimes I get it from other news sources. We all do. I try to read other news sources, see what they're working on, and if it's something that it's hard to be everywhere at once, and it's impossible. So naturally, sometimes we miss things, and that's definitely part of it. I also get a lot of press releases, and but I think really the place I get the most information is in my conversations that I have with people in the town. Whether it's an official or just someone on the street who I'm interviewing about, like a man on the street kind of deal. Those are the people who really give me the most interesting leads.
Do you have any confidential news sources that I won't ask for names, but that sort of give you the scoop about what's happening in the town or the villages?
In the town and the villages, not so much, no. On the county level, sometimes.
Now, one of the bigger stories beyond Mamaroneck and Larchmont is the governor's race.
Yes.
And you broke the story, did you not, about Astorino?
I did, at least in terms of local coverage. I believe that we were the first, and it was really just a magical happenstance. He released his announcement via video, which is something that's a little bit different, a little unconventional.
And this is, for those who are not following it, this is the announcement that he's decided to run against Andrew Cuomo.
Yes.
Okay.
At least to run for the Republican nomination at this point.
Oh, let's clarify that, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And right now he seems to be the strongest and only contender because Donald Trump has decided that he wants to move on to bigger, better things, probably the presidency, if I had to guess. So, yeah.
It's another conversation.
Yes.
So he released it by video, and you were the first to see the video, or you knew the video was coming, or?
I think all the news outlets had an idea of what time the video was going to come out, and I think it was, something like 11 o'clock in the morning. But I happened to be on Twitter at around 10:30, 10:45, just waiting, and it turns out that Rob emailed or tweeted the link out to his video about 15 minutes earlier than expected. So because we're an online outlet, I was able to watch the video, open up a file on the website, and just start typing the story as he was speaking, and we were able to get it up relatively quickly.
Why would a politician make an announcement via a video rather than appear in public in front of a whole gang of microphones, as you often see on TV?
That's a really good question. My guess probably is, Rob Astorino is he's a local politician. He's a county executive, and his name recognition in the state of New York as a whole is not very high, and that's not a bad thing. It's just I don't know the county executives of any other county really, except for Westchester. It's just how it is, and I think that in order to probably save time and resources and to give news outlets across the state a favor, he did it via video so that we could all access it right away from the same place. And, he wouldn't have to find somewhere to have, statewide media along with county media and so on and so forth congregating to get this message out. And I think that way it was also probably more accessible to non-press, just people at home who said, maybe people who really like Rob Astorino, who voted for him for county executive, said, oh, on his website there's going to be an announcement, and they could watch it from their tablets or their iPhones, and it was kind of like he was broadcasting to his community, because he's a very community-centric man.
Is that a new development in politics, that politicians can then reach out directly to their constituents and sort of bypass traditional media?
I think it really depends on the politician. It really depends on what their interests are. Some politicians run on the platform of being, the homegrown grassroots kind of person, and they really take pride in their communities. And some people want to draw more attention to their broader career, the broader spectrum of what they do. So I think Rob Astorino's biggest point of pride, as it should be, is how he's, managed to maintain Westchester County, pass balanced budgets that don't raise taxes. That's his, his big claim to fame, I suppose, and that's what he wants to publicize, because I think he's trying to get that message out. If I can do it in Westchester, I can do it for the state.
So this is something that you're covering. This is your beat.
I'm sharing it with another reporter right now, just because to cover all of our communities the way that we want to, and to give the, villages and towns the attention they deserve, you got to divvy up the work in a way that's reasonable.
So let's take it down to Mamaroneck and Larchmont, to our own communities here. Some of the things that are going on in the town, let's say. You talked to the supervisor, Nancy Seligson?
Yes, I had a meeting with Nancy Seligson a couple weeks ago, and we had a great conversation, talking about a couple things that the town of Mamaroneck is doing that are really interesting, I think. Nancy is a very big proponent of environmental awareness and, saving energy, going green, so on and so forth. And she shed a lot of light on the ESCO project in the town of Mamaroneck, which looks like it's going to save the town a lot of money. I believe it was definitely in the millions. And, that has, basically they're taking certain parts of the town that are, particularly big energy users, like the Homix ice rink and the firehouses and so on and so forth, and trying to find ways to make those more energy efficient.
We have an email coming in,
Yes,
Rebecca?
we do. It's from Anna, and the question is, what's the latest news about the Playland situation?
The latest news about the Playland situation. I mean, that's particularly a good question for our Rye reporter, Casey Donahue, because he's the one who's really been following that. From what I understand and what I've read of his coverage, which has been very comprehensive, is that the Board of Legislators right now is, they're looking currently at or the County Board of Legislators are looking at the parking assessments for sustainable playland. And what they're realizing now is that the parking lot that they have slotted will not be able to handle the traffic that they expect sustainable playland to bring, so that is a big problem. So they have to now kind of revamp that whole process, and that's really what I've heard thus far.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So we were talking about local issues, and you were mentioning the ESCO projects that the town is involved in. It's proposed to save lots of money.
Yes, yes. I think I was talking about the Hommocks ice rink and all that jazz. They're going to make some pretty great renovations that will make those operations a lot more efficient. Additionally, I think this is really cool. They're planning to hook up all of these street lamps to a computer system where each street lamp can be individually controlled for brightness. So in certain areas that have a lot of foot traffic at night, those will be a little bit brighter. And then the ones that are maybe, you know, in places that aren't traversed a lot, they'll be a little bit dimmer. And that's also expected to save a lot of money. Also, Nancy told me that the town is trying to go through a rebranding effort, which will eventually include a new website. They're trying to strengthen the identity of the town specifically, because I think, from what she told me, some people who live in the town of Mamaroneck don't actually know that they live in the town of Mamaroneck. They identify very strongly with the village of Larchmont or the village of Mamaroneck, and they, you know, the town doesn't really have its own identity. So I think she's trying very hard to make environmental awareness part of the town's identity, while also holding community events. Like, I know that they're doing a community yard sale where people can rent out space, and that's going to be happening, I think, in the late spring, early summer. And I think she's trying to kind of unite the town and, you know, give people, I mean, people should have pride to live there in the first place, but I think she wants them to find a new sense of, you know, of excitement to be there.
And one of the things you do is called an events roundup.
Yes.
And obviously what you just mentioned is going to be listed on the events roundup.
Yes.
In the village of Mamaroneck, we've got bamboo controversy.
Yes, we do. Right now, the village of Mamaroneck Board of Trustees is looking at a prospective bamboo ban. It came initially from the tree committee. And basically their concern is that some states have banned bamboo, it's a tongue twister, because it can be considered invasive. And by invasive, I mean not so much an invasive species as much if you plant it on your property and you're not aware of the kind of bamboo you have, because some bamboo is running and some bamboo is clumping. It can actually crack through driveways and extend onto neighbors' property and extend onto streets.
Yes, and Rebecca, actually you had a situation
I know, we
about
had
bamboo, but
something.
we have to do it quickly because we're out of time.
Very quickly. It was just exactly what you just said. My neighbor planted it. He probably had no idea what it was going to evolve into. And during the bad weather, cars were running over it and into it, and finally the town had to get him to replant it all the way far into his property.
And I must admit, I'm one of the people that thought bamboo, you know, it didn't sound like a big deal, but obviously it can be.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry that we have to conclude this as quickly as we do it, just the time flew by. Will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Sammint from the Mamaroneck Larchmont Daily Voice.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm State Senator George Latimer, and I encourage you to watch every week The Local Live. I was going to say something like, I live in Rye, but if I lived in Larchmont and Mamaroneck, I would watch The Local Live every week. And I just remind... Thank you.
Everyone's been there, but how much do you really know about Molly Spillane's? Our very own Don Julian spent an afternoon hanging out with the people who run the show at this popular neighborhood haunt.
I'm in front of Molly Spillane's pub, located in the heart of Mamaroneck. Not just a place to get a good meal or a pint. What sets this bar apart is that it reaches out to its community.
Using a state-of-the-art touchscreen monitor, Katie showed me pictures of the activities the bar has shared with the Mamaroneck community. Past events include firefighter appreciation nights, live performances, and even regular paint classes.
This is a photo from paint night that we do every Tuesday. We'll have a class of about 50, mostly ladies, but we have some guys in here too, coming to paint some pictures and drink all at the same time. So it's a great way to kind of come out, be social with your friends, and get a little creative at the same time.
Providing so much space, Spillane server Tara gave me the rundown of some of the kinds of events the bar has hosted.
We have a second floor that we hold private parties up there. It could be really used for anything. We have a smart TV that you could do PowerPoints and show everything for business meetings, and we have the bar for parties, weddings, baby showers, so we hold anything there. Yeah.
Let's not forget about the wide variety of alcohol and delicious meals ready for the taking.
Our bar is fully stocked with any types of draft beers. We always have 16 different draft beers on. We have plenty of different types of wine, plenty of different types of alcohol you want. Rum, vodka, say anything you want. And our menu, it has a huge variety, a lot of salads, a lot of burgers, like you said, wraps, paninis, also the token Irish cuisine.
And in case you're still not convinced to head to Molly Spillane's,
it's right in the middle of the town. The train station is right here. It's an easy place to meet up and come down. We have specials almost every day from Monday to Sunday, so it's a great place to come and just hang out.
From business meetings to private parties and even after hours, Molly Spillane's has something for everyone. This is Don Julian reporting for The Local Live, signing off. St. Patrick's Day may be over, but we'll always have the memories from this year's Sound Shore Parade. Alina Suriel was there to catch all of it as she marched with The Local Live and LMC TV.
Hi, my name is Alina Suriel here for LMC TV, and it is the St. Patrick's Day Parade here on Mamaroneck Avenue. Everyone in Mamaroneck and nearby towns came out for the Sound Shore Parade. Firefighters marched alongside policemen as children stood on the sidelines and took in all the excitement.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
What's your favorite part?
When they throw the candy.
The Irish step dancers.
Getting the candy.
You want to say hello?
Hello.
Some of the children themselves were marching in the parade, and many were even dancing.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
The Hendry School of Irish Dance performing in the Mamaroneck Avenue St. Patrick's Day Parade. As we continued, we found more than a few people who were big fans of LMC and The Local Live.
LMC TV, we love you. The Village of Mamaroneck Fire Department, we love you guys.
Hi, LMC TV.
Hello.
Welcome to Local Live, the hottest program in the Village of Mamaroneck, with the hottest interviewer. Yay! Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Afterwards, all those who took part in the festivities gathered at Harbor Island to decompress and indulge in a few hot dogs.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
The best part of the parade was getting to see all of the people standing and all of the little girls like waving and wanting a crown, and they were just really adorable.
I had a great time. This is the second year I was able to do the color commentary from in front of our Tusos with Pat Bertaw and Jackie. It was terrific.
It's a great day for Mamaroneck. Everyone is Irish today. Todo el pueblo es Irish hoy, and we want to say blessings to everybody. And we love LMC TV.
What was your favorite part of the parade?
The men in uniform.
For The Local Live, this is Alina Suriel signing off.
Hey guys, you're watching The Local Live. Stay tuned.
Woo!
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to commentate for the parade, and it sure was a great time. So this week's pet is a sassy kitty named Ozzy. Ozzy is 9 months old with adorable tuxedo markings on his fur. This little guy lost his home when his owner moved into an apartment that does not allow pets, and is now looking for a second chance at a happy life. If you are interested in taking Ozzy home, you can find out more information by visiting the New Rochelle Humane Society and contacting the shelter manager, Dana Rocco. That's all we have for you tonight on this week's edition of The Local Live.
If you know about a great story happening in your neighborhood, let us know. Some of our best scoops come from you, our viewers.
That's right, Don. In case you missed our Twitter info earlier this program, our handle is @TheLocalLive. We are always open to new story ideas, and we want to hear from you.
We're going to leave you with an extra community event from the Southeast Consortium. Enjoy this chilly clip. Bye.
Our third annual Leprechaun Leap with a twist today. We slid, splashed, and slid because the harbor's full of ice. We had about 67, 68 kids and adults do this to raise money for the Southeast Consortium, which is an organization that provides recreation and leisure programs to special needs children and adults right here in the Mamaroneck area. We had a wonderful, successful day. The weather cooperated, and this is our annual way of kicking off the St. Patrick's season. So to all our viewers out there, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Tell us what you think. In person, over the phone, online. Watch and hear yourself on TV. You tell us, we air it. This is The Local Live.